Okay, let's continue with the next presentation. So we're happy to have with us Aran Huang, who is the overseas technical support at Tongwei Solar. And Aran will also talk about TopCon, TNC 2.0, taking the PV industry to the next level. Aran, it's your turn.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm going to share my screen, so wait a moment. Let me check. Can you see my screen moving right now?
We can see it. Everything's fine.
Yes, everything's fine. So let's start right now. Well, hello everyone. Nice to see you again. It's my second time attending the TaiyangNews, so thank you all. I'm Aran from the Tongwei Solar, and nice to meet you here again. Right now the world is shaking, and especially this year, so we can see some companies are gradually falling silent, and some new companies are popping up. And everyone is asking what's going on next and what they should do to survive. So today I'm share some parts of view from a technical perspective. Well, to make sure you know who I am and where I'm from, so I have to give a brief introduction of Tongwei. So we are the first PV company who has been listed in the Fortune Global 500, and we were established 43 years ago, and there are over 16,000 employees and 200 subsidiaries around the world. And by the way, our headquarters is in Chengdu, so it's the hometown of the panda. So here we warmly invite all of you have a visit. So that will be really great. And while we are also the first company who got the full industry chain from the very upstream, you can see on this chart, we got the green material, that's the MG silicon, and the polysilicon ingot, and to the middle stream, the wafer, solar cells, and finally the downstream solar module. And by the way, we are the top one in the polysilicon and the solar cell, and we spent only 1 year ranking the top 5. It's our second year being the top 5. And meanwhile, we are operating our own projects with Tongwei's modules. And that's integration project with the PV and the fishery. And the total volume by far is around like the 4.67 gigawatt. And all of these points I mentioned above are traceable. So the traceability report is available anytime. Actually, just now I heard Michael just ask a question to Jinko about the IBC, about the BC, the bad contact. And we all know that the R&D team is always one of the points we are proud of. In this industry, everybody want to save more and make more. So that's why we highlight the higher power, higher efficiency, higher and lower cost. And all of them depends on a great financial status and a strong R&D team. So you have to choose the right way, invest a lot, and the R&D must make some practical breakthroughs. Then it's a positive circle. Without any of the links, the investment could be a great loss. So just look at it in this picture, we are all in. So 7 years ago, we started the first try from the THC, and this year the highest power is 719.18 watt with efficiency of the 25.4%. And 5 years ago, we invested TNC and applied a lot of financial and technological support on that. And right now, the highest power is 718.2 watt. 3 years ago, we started the R&D on the TBC. That's a bad contact, just like what Michael mentioned. And right now, the best efficiency of it is around 26.89%. We also try many different ways to increase and stabilize the power at the perovskite and tandem cells. So the highest efficiency could be 33.3% right now. So by far, we have almost the biggest R&D center. So you can see on this picture from the T1 to T6, covering the TNC, THC, TBC, perovskite test line on cell and module. And also we have the reliability test, the mechanical load test center, the material test centers. For us, actually the Tongwei is like a big supermarket. We have everything you want, and difference is just like what we put in the window to show and to sell. It depends on the strategy, the insight, the forecast of the market, and and of course you, the demand from our market and all of our clients. And fortunately, last year, actually, Tongwei invested around 331.19 million into the R&D, and it worked. We got around 3,000 patents, and the power of our modules has made the great breakthroughs. So you can see on this picture, actually, the highest power of the TNC 2.0 is 778.5 watts, and the TNC 2.0R is 682.8 watt, and for THC is 719.8 watt, and it's also the highest efficiency record in the third-party testing lab. And all of these points I mentioned above, the full supply chain, traceability, great financial and cash flow, the right direction, strong R&D, etc., are what makes PV and what makes Tongwei great. So let's see what's going on the module side with all of these benefits, and that's the point today. So here's the overview of the latest TNC 2.0 products we're promoting right now, covering all the scenarios from the rooftops, distributed projects, CNI utility projects, and 3 of them are made by the G12R wafer, and 1 of them is the G12. The first product we mentioned here is the TNC G12R 48, especially designed for the rooftop and distribution. So it's a double glass module, but the monofacial one. And with a small size, less than 2 square meters, the power could be around like the 475 watt. And this kind of module, we applied the colored film on the back side to increase the power and keep the safety. And this product is really popular in Australia and Europe. When installing on the rooftop, it looks like a painting. The second product is the TNC G12R 54, the double gloss and bifacial one, covered the residential, car park, balcony scenarios. The highest power is the 515 watt, and the mainstream power could be around like the 500 watt. The third product actually, well, I have to back because one point I just missing. Actually, for these 2 modules, the material warranty is like the 15 years. But of course, if you want a longer warranty, like the 25 years, that's totally optional. That's okay. And let's move on. The third product actually is the TNC G12R66. It's a double glass module and the bifacial one, mainly for the CNI, and the highest power is around like the 617 watt. The last product is the TNC G1266, the largest guy here. So it's a double glass and bifacial one too, mainly for the utility or big projects. The highest power is around like the 765 watt. And all the highest power I mentioned here is a real power available right now, not the concept of power only exists in the lab. So we can see the power of our latest products has achieved a great improvement with the old version, and why we could do that. So here's the point today. Here we are using the TNC 2.0 technical improvement package. And then we are putting higher efficient cells into the mass production. It's like over 26.5%. And how we can make the higher efficient cell. And here are the 4 mainly technologies here. And first, the 908 owned by Tongwei. This technology is removing the pad point and then increasing the surface on the cell, realizing the flexible interconnection. And the second is the TPE. Actually, the terminology sounds a little bit complicated, but actually the principle is really simple. It's like a protection layer will be applied on the edge of the cell after cutting. So the power loss caused by the cutting will be just recovered. And we also believe that actually the TPE will also be a gap between the big players and the small manufacturers, because the introduction of this kind of technology, to be frank, is a little bit expensive. Well, and third is the stencil plating. So, actually in the past, we used the screen plating. So, and the busbar would be thicker, and the edge of the busbar was not sharp enough. It will waste more silver paste. And the stencil plating is totally different. Actually, the stencil plating used now is very thin and uniform. So that less sunlight will be blocked and more sunlight will shine on the cell and more electricity can be generated. So that's a principle. And there is less waste of silver paste, which greatly reduces the production cost. And a better aspect ratio can print thin and tall busbars to ensure the good conductivity. And the last one is the polytech. While in the past, we put a layer of the silicon oxide similar to a band-aid on the back of the wafer. And now we cover a poly layer similar to a nanogrid on that. So the electrons or the holes can pass through in one direction and in an orderly manner, so increasing the bifaciality and reducing the optical loss. The last one is some other improvement on the ribbons, metal connection, and wafer, something like that. And in this way, the bifaciality of the TNC 2.0 products is around 5 to 10% higher than the TNC 1.0 products. And the power class will be 5 to 15 watt higher than the TNC 1.0. So the power generation will also be greatly increased. And meanwhile, the TNC 2.0 product is also beneficial to the higher reliability. On this chart, we can see like 30% microcracks will be reduced because of the 908. And in the reliability tests like the DH, PID, LETID, TC, UV, something like that, we got a remarkable performance. So our product has also been certified by the TÜV. So on this picture, you can see our product with the latest TNC 2.0 has been certified by the TÜV. So we got the world's first Toronto certificate for the PV modules, and equal to so it's equal to the 12 level the Typhoon. So proving that our module can effectively cope with the extreme weather. And the second certificate is the low temperature dynamic and static load certificates for the PV modules. We put the modules into the under the minus 14 degrees with the ice standardized snow and wind load. And proving that our modules excellent performance under extreme weather conditions. And also we got other certificates on the right side. So because of the time limitation, so we can just skip on. So we just jump on to the next slide. And surprisingly, we are the Kiva PVL top performer. And we have already passed the TC600, DH2000, MSS, health test at the 15mm, and the LETID, PID, UV120, and PAN5 performance. And if you want, you can also download the test report and the specific performance on Kiva's website. So all in all, the points I'm trying to making above has proven that our TNC 2.0 technological package is the high efficient and of course the reliable. Reliability is always the most important thing in this industry. So that's also why Tongwei is confident and stable in such a vibrant world. And also for us, we have the global database for different certificates. We have everything you want, like the WEEE in the Europe, and of course, like the CE or IEC, CSI, JPA, blah, 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 something etc. Whatever you want, we have anything. And here we can see last year, the total module shipment from Tongwei is like it's like the 45.71 gigawatts. It's the second year we entered into the module part, and also the second year being the top 5. So we are really confident and we are really experienced in this industry because just like what I mentioned before, we have the full supply chain where we have the strong R&D team, and also we're willing to invest a lot into the R&D, and we're always choose the right direction in this industry. So now let's see some project cases. We have many different partners in the Austria, German, Hungarian, Netherlands, Thailand, And also we got many like the project in China, and the capacity in China, of course, will be much higher. So here are some like the detailed information about our utility scale projects. And it's in China. It's a one project in the Switzerland. It's also in China around like the 10 megawatt. It's in the New Zealand. Okay, it's in the southwestern China. So, well, it comes to an end, and we all know that the world is changing all the time, and the market is like ups and downs. So it's normal, it's business. But remember what I say, like choose the right direction and invest a lot. You know, the energy is always the foundation of the world, and everyone wants the new energy. So, and our TNC 2.0 product from Tongwei will help a lot. So the market is like a marathon, and the winner is never the first one or the fast runner, but the one who persists until the end. So don't be worried, trust the sunshine, and trust the Tongwei. So in the past years, we changed the road together, and we believe in the future we'll do the same great thing again. So that's the end of my slides. If you have any question, just feel free to ask. That's fine.
Thanks, Aaron. I liked your analogy of the supermarket. So it was
Yeah.
impressive when you showed basically your research campus. Obviously, I think you're focusing also on TOPCon, but you were working on all these other technologies, roadmap-wise, commercialization-wise. So how are you addressing the other technologies? Because you also have an HJT product and other things. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. But do you remember, Michael, maybe last year you asked a similar question to me. So that's really impressive. Actually, we have to say in the next 3 or 5 years, the TOPCon will always be our focus, because just like what just like the person from the Jinko said, actually, the first thing that the TOPCon, of course, we have to admit the theoretical efficiency is lower than the HJT and of course the BC, but at least the first point is that the TOPCon has been proven really reliable after years of the operation. And the second one is that, just like what I mentioned, right now Tongwei is applying many of the technological improvement package on the TNC, on the TOPCon technology. So that means the gap between the power gap between the TNC and the THC, and of course like the bare contact, will be much less. So that means the LCOE and the BOS of the TOPCon will be better than will be better. And the second one is that we're always doing some R&D on the HJT and the BC, and of course the perovskite. And also we made a lot of like the breakthroughs. It's not a problem for Tongwei to promote and put this kind of the technologies into the mass production, but the problem is that the timing. So we're still waiting for the feedback from the market, and of course from some professionals like you. So maybe I think after this conference, or maybe by the end of this year, it's not a problem for us to put the THC and the TBC into mass production. But if the market demand is still positive, it's not a problem for us to promote them. But the problem is the timing. So we will see in the future when is the right timing. So I'm so curious about that.
Okay, cool. So you know what I will ask next year. Okay, maybe there are a couple of questions regarding TOPCon. I think they were already asked somewhat earlier, but maybe I think you could also look into some of them in the chat and could address that. That would be nice to simply also share Tongwei's view on that.
Okay, well,
Yeah, okay, super.
thank you.
Thanks so much for your great presentation. Have a nice evening. Ciao, ciao. Okay,